Welcome to the Sleepy Astronomer, a quiet corner of the universe where we drift among the stars and dream with the planets. Tonight we're embarking on a gentle journey through the solar system, where the planets move in a graceful, eternal dance around the sun. But before we begin, where in the world are you watching from tonight? Are you under a snowy sky in Iceland? A starry desert in Arizona? Or perhaps wrapped in a blanket on a quiet evening in Tokyo? Wherever you are, you're most welcome here. Let's take a deep breath and follow the slow, beautiful rhythm of the planets in motion. In the beginning, before we named the planets, before we knew what they were, people looked up at the sky in awe and wonder. They watched as certain lights wandered slowly across the heavens, moving not like the stars, which held still in their constellations, but drifting, shimmering, as if they were dancing to a rhythm no one else could hear. This mysterious motion gave birth to stories, to myths, to questions whispered into the night wind. The ancient Greeks called it the music of the spheres, the idea that each planet, as it moved in its orbit, created a kind of cosmic music. Not a sound we could hear with our ears, but a harmony we might feel with our soul. A music too deep, too slow, and too grand for our senses, but there, always there. Imagine for a moment that you could hear it. Close your eyes. A soft, low hum begins to rise, like the breath of the universe. The sun pulses gently at the centre, the great conductor of this silent symphony. Around it, the planets begin their movement, each one with its own tempo, its own resonance. Mercury spins fast and high, like the trill of a flute. Venus offers a slow, haunting harmony. Earth hums a tone we somehow recognize deep inside us, familiar, like a lullaby from before we were born. The planets don't just orbit randomly, they follow invisible paths shaped by gravity, by time, by a delicate balance of cosmic forces. These orbits form loops, ellipses, spirals that repeat endlessly with astonishing precision. It is a clock without ticking, a dance without footsteps, a melody without sound, and yet it is one of the most precise and dependable rhythms in existence. Our solar system is vast beyond imagination. But from a distance, say from the edge of the galaxy, it might look like a tiny spinning ballet. Each planet turning on its axis, each one circling the sun, some with moons that follow like faithful partners. The whole system is in motion, endlessly flowing, never stopping. And though it may seem still to us as we lie back and gaze at the stars, it is always in movement, always becoming. In ancient times, people believed this dance had a spiritual meaning, that the arrangement of the planets at the moment of your birth could shape your destiny, that Mars and Venus could affect your love life, or that Saturn's stern orbit might bring hardship and discipline. Whether or not you believe in such things, there's something undeniably beautiful about the idea that the universe is not cold and chaotic, but harmonious and meaningful, that we are not just observers of this cosmic dance, but somehow part of it. And maybe, just maybe, when we feel out of rhythm with life, when the world feels too loud, too fast, too uncertain, it helps to look up, to remember that above the noise above the storms, above our tiny, rushing lives. The planets continue their quiet rotation, their peaceful, slow circling. A dance that began long before we arrived, and will go on long after we're gone. It's a reminder that time moves differently in the heavens, that not everything is urgent, that some things unfold in their own time, their own pace, that silence can be full of meaning, that slowness can be beautiful. So as you listen now, as your breathing slows and your eyes grow heavy, let yourself fall into that rhythm. Feel the pull of the sun, warm and steady. Picture the planets circling gently around it, like lanterns drifting on a silent tide. No rush, no destination, just endless movement, just endless grace. This is the music of the spheres, and you're invited to listen for as long as you wish. At the centre of everything we know, the planets, the moons, the comets, and the drifting clouds of cosmic dust, there sits a glowing sphere of fire and light, the sun. It has no voice, no breath, no thoughts. And yet it is the reason we are here, the quiet force that holds the entire solar system together, the ancient heart of our cosmic home. To truly understand the sun, you must forget what you see in the sky each day. That small, blinding disk above the horizon, too bright to look at for long, the sun we know from Earth, is only a glimpse of the truth. In reality, it is vast, so enormous that it could fit over 1 million Earths inside it. Its gravity is so powerful that every planet, every asteroid, every speck of matter in our solar system is bound to it, circling endlessly around its warmth. And yet, for all its size and power, the sun never makes a sound. It does not roar. It does not hum in a way we can hear. It simply shines, quietly, reliably, every single day, even when clouds cover the sky, even when we sleep. It burns with a steady light that has lasted for over 4.6 billion years. It is older than any mountain, any ocean, any dream. The sun is not made of fire, but of plasma, a state of matter so hot that atoms lose their electrons and swirl in a sea of charged particles. Deep in its core, hydrogen atoms fuse into helium in a process called nuclear fusion. This process releases an unimaginable amount of energy, enough to power the entire solar system and still leave an endless supply. And though this energy is created in the sun's core, it can take tens of thousands of years to reach the surface, bouncing and scattering like a lost traveller before finally being released into space as sunlight. That gentle warmth you feel on your skin on a bright afternoon, it is ancient energy, a message from the core of the sun, born thousands of years ago, finally arriving after its long and patient journey. The sun doesn't spin like a solid object. Its equator rotates faster than its poles. Its surface churns with storms and solar flares, great waves of magnetic energy that leap into space and ripple across the solar wind. But from Earth, we rarely notice. We see only light. We feel only warmth. And in that warmth, we grow. Flowers turn toward it. Trees drink it in. It feeds the oceans and the winds, the seasons and the rain. Without the sun, Earth would be a frozen rock adrift in darkness. To the ancient Egyptians, the sun was Ra, the god who sailed his golden boat across the sky each day. To the Aztecs, It was a warrior who fought off darkness each night and needed offerings of gratitude to rise again. To the Romans, it was Sol, the divine light that illuminated the world. But perhaps most beautifully, to the human heart, the sun has always been a symbol of life, of constancy, of the simple miracle of warmth. Sometimes, when the world feels uncertain, it's comforting to remember that the sun is still shining, even if we can't see it. It rises every morning, without fail, and sets every night with a grace that asks for nothing in return. It has no agenda, no pride, just a quiet, unwavering presence that lights our path and gives meaning to the space around it. All of the planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and the others, owe their movements to the sun's gravity. It is the great anchor, the silent conductor of the planetary waltz. They circle it not because they must, but because they are drawn to it, held in its gentle embrace, kept in balance by its silent pull. Like children dancing around a campfire, like thoughts drifting around a central idea, like us perhaps circling something we don't fully understand but know we need. So as you rest tonight under the blanket of your own sky, imagine the sun, not the blinding light of noon, but the deeper, ancient presence behind it. A golden heart beating slowly at the centre of space. A source of energy older than memory, quieter than time. It asks for nothing. It gives everything. And though it seems far away, you carry a piece of it within you. Every breath you take, every meal you've ever eaten, every tree you've ever touched, all of it, in some way, began with the light of the sun. You are, quite literally, made of sunlight. And tonight, that light continues to travel across the quiet dark, just to reach you. Mercury is the smallest planet in our solar system, and the closest one to the sun. It's a world of extremes, scorching heat during the day, freezing cold during the night. And yet, it drifts quietly through space, like a silver pebble warmed by the fire of creation. Small, fast, and overlooked by many, Mercury moves with a kind of quiet urgency, circling the sun every 88 Earth days, completing its orbit quicker than any other planet. In ancient times, this made it seem like a messenger, zipping across the sky just before dawn or just after sunset, never lingering for long. Even now, it feels like a mystery. You have to know where and when to look to find Mercury. It hugs close to the sun, often hidden in the glow of twilight, flickering briefly on the horizon like a shy guest at a grand celestial gathering. And then it vanishes again, slipping back into the radiance. If you've seen it, you're among a small group of people who've caught a glimpse of this elusive traveller. Unlike Earth, Mercury has almost no atmosphere to speak of, just a thin exosphere made of tiny atoms blasted off its surface by the solar wind. That means it can't hold on to heat, can't trap warmth, can't cushion the blow of space rocks. Its surface is ancient and battered, covered in craters like the moon, silent witnesses to billions of years of cosmic history. Some of these craters are so deep and hidden in shadow that sunlight has never touched them. Inside, astronomers believe, may be frozen water, ice on a planet so close to the sun it can reach 800 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. Mercury doesn't spin the way we do either. A single day on Mercury, from one sunrise to the next, takes the equivalent of 176 Earth days. That's longer than its entire year. Think of that for a moment. Imagine the sun rising, climbing high in the black Mercury sky, then slowly arcing for weeks, even months, before it sets again. Imagine living in that kind of stillness, watching the light linger far longer than we used to, followed by nights so cold and so quiet that the very idea of time seems to pause. Its rotation is locked in a strange dance with its orbit, spinning 3 times for every 2 trips around the sun. This creates a rhythm, a cosmic heartbeat unique to Mercury. It's as if the planet is whispering to the universe in a language of numbers and motion. No sound, no song, just movement and mathematics and an unwavering pace. There are cliffs on Mercury, enormous ones, stretching hundreds of kilometers across the surface, where the crust has shrunk and cracked as the planet cooled over the eons. They rise like frozen waves, silent markers of a world slowly tightening in on itself. A planet aging in solitude. And still, it keeps moving, faithfully circling the sun like a loyal guardian at the innermost gate of our solar system. Long ago, civilizations gave Mercury names that reflected its swiftness. The Romans named it after the winged messenger god. The Greeks called it Hermes. To the Babylonians, it was Nabu, the god of writing and wisdom, always a figure associated with communication, with movement, with things that change quickly and come without warning. And in a way, Mercury lives up to those stories. It doesn't linger, doesn't stay in one place long enough for us to forget the mystery. It reminds us of the fleeting, of the transitory, of how even the smallest presence can have a role in the great pattern. Though it may seem like a quiet, simple rock circling close to the sun, Mercury is more than that. It's a survivor. A planet that has withstood the full force of solar radiation for billions of years. It has no moons, no rings, no storms, just silence and stone. And still, it endures. As you close your eyes and drift deeper into sleep, imagine Mercury gliding through space, small, alone, yet full of purpose. The sun glows immense and golden above it, and Mercury orbits without question, without hesitation. Fast, but never rushed. Alone, but never lost. A quiet wanderer in the inner sanctum of the cosmos. Sometimes the most powerful movements are the ones that go unnoticed. Sometimes the smallest dancers follow the deepest rhythm. And Mercury, swift, silent, and unshaken, continues its gentle, ancient path. Venus is a planet of paradoxes, soft in name, fierce in nature. From Earth, it appears as the brightest point of light in the sky after the moon, often called the morning star or the evening star, depending on when it graces the horizon. Poets have praised it for thousands of years. Lovers have made wishes upon its glow. And yet, beneath that gentle shimmer, lies a world that is among the most hostile and haunting in our solar system. Venus is our planetary sister, nearly the same size, and made of similar materials. For a long time, we believed it might even harbour life. Its thick clouds were once thought to hide oceans, jungles, maybe even civilizations. But as our instruments grew stronger and our reach extended beyond Earth, the illusion faded. What we discovered was far stranger and far more powerful. The clouds of Venus are not made of water, but of sulfuric acid. Its skies are heavy and yellow, filled with toxic haze. The pressure on its surface is so immense that standing there would feel like being crushed under the weight of an ocean. And the heat. Oh, the heat. Venus is hotter than Mercury, even though it's farther from the Sun. Its thick atmosphere traps heat in a runaway greenhouse effect, pushing temperatures to nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to melt lead. Hot enough to destroy most spacecraft within moments of landing. And still, it glows, gently, beautifully, as if nothing were wrong at all. This contradiction is what makes Venus so enchanting. It is a world of hidden fury wrapped in soft light. A world that rotates backward, unlike most planets in the solar system. While Earth spins from west to east, giving us our familiar sunrises and sunsets, Venus spins slowly from east to west. So slowly, in fact, that one day on Venus lasts longer than its entire year. Imagine that. The sun rising in the west, and taking weeks to cross the sky before finally setting in the east, only to do it all again after the planet has completed a full orbit around the sun. If you could stand on Venus, somehow protected from the pressure, the heat, the acid, you would see an endless twilight, a yellow-orange haze, diffusing the sunlight into something soft and surreal. There would be no sharp shadows, no blue sky. The air would shimmer with warmth and danger, and you would hear silence, thick, pressing silence, the kind that wraps around you like a blanket of stone. Venus has no moons, no rings, and no mercy. Yet it is not empty. It has mountains higher than Everest, such as Maxwell Montes, rising above its tortured plains. It has volcanoes, thousands of them, many of which may still be active, their lava flowing beneath the surface, hidden from view. It has winds in its upper atmosphere that race around the planet at hurricane speeds, far faster than the planet itself rotates. And through it all, that golden light, shining outward into the universe, fools the eye and enchants the heart. The ancients were captivated by Venus. The Sumerians associated it with Inanna, the goddess of love and war. The Greeks called it Aphrodite. The Romans named it Venus, goddess of beauty and desire. But even in those myths, there is duality, a fierce independence beneath the allure, a storm beneath the softness. Venus has always been both the lover and the warrior, the mirror and the flame. And perhaps that's why she lingers in our imagination. Venus reminds us that beauty is not always gentle, that light can conceal power, that love too can burn. As you lie back and breathe slowly, picture Venus gliding silently through space. Her path is smooth, her rotation quiet, almost hesitant. She turns backward in slow defiance, wrapped in clouds, lit by the sun. No moons dance around her. No companions whisper in her orbit. She spins alone, deliberate, radiant, and unbending. Her silence is not weakness, it is strength. Her light is not soft because she is kind. It is soft because she is distant. Distant and eternal. Tonight, as you drift deeper into sleep, let Venus remind you that there is power in quiet beauty. that the most luminous beings often hold the deepest mysteries, and that sometimes it is in the backward spin, the unusual rhythm, that the real magic lies. Venus continues her dance, slowly, endlessly, turning against the current, bathed in sunlight, crowned in cloud. And we, from far away, can only watch and wonder. Earth, our home, the only planet we know that sings with life. From far away, Earth is a pale blue dot, suspended in a beam of sunlight, just as Carl Sagan once described. It looks fragile, soft, and glowing with colour against the deep black of space. But from where we are, down here on the surface, it is everything. The place of oceans and forests, of winds and seasons, of dreams, languages and memories. The stage for every love story, every tear, every breath. Among all the planets in our solar system, Earth is unique, not just because it harbours life, but because it balances its elements so delicately. It is not the biggest or the brightest. It's not the closest to the sun, nor the farthest away. It spins at just the right speed, tilts at just the right angle, and orbits in just the right zone, a narrow band scientists call the Goldilocks zone, where it's not too hot, not too cold, but just right. And so water flows, air moves, life grows. Earth is a quiet miracle, wrapped in clouds, blue oceans, and green lands that change with the seasons. From space, its clouds swirl like whispers, and its continents rest like islands in a vast sea of life. But beneath that beauty is a living, moving world. The crust of Earth floats on molten rock, shifting slowly over millennia. Mountains rise, oceans deepen. Continents drift silently across the face of the planet like slow-moving icebergs of stone. And through it all, Earth turns. One full rotation every 24 hours. This gentle spin gives us day and night, sunrise and sunset, the rhythmic pulse of time we all live by. It feels so ordinary, but it is anything but. Without this rotation, the planet would bake on one side and freeze on the other. Instead, light and dark dance around the globe like the breath of the universe, always flowing, always changing. Then there's Earth's tilt, 23.5 degrees. A small angle, and yet it makes all the difference. It gives us the seasons. It allows sunlight to travel across the planet in different ways, giving us the long, lazy summer days and the cold, starry nights of winter. This tilt brings balance. It teaches the world how to rest and renew. And Earth's atmosphere, a thin layer of gases wrapped around the planet like a soft blanket, does more than give us oxygen. It holds warmth, blocks harmful radiation, carries water in the form of clouds, and even creates colours, reds and oranges at sunset, blues during the day, greens and purples during auroras. The air we breathe is not just invisible, it's magical. A gift from billions of years of plant life, volcanic eruptions, and unseen forces working together in harmony. Beneath the surface, deep inside the planet, is the core, hot, dense, and mysterious. This spinning core generates a magnetic field, an invisible shield that surrounds Earth and protects it from solar winds and cosmic radiation. Without it, life as we know it would not exist. And yet, we never see it. we never feel it. We only know it's there by the quiet way it guards us. Life on Earth is everywhere. In the deepest trenches of the ocean, where no light ever shines, there are creatures glowing in the dark. On mountaintops kissed by snow, there are flowers that bloom once a year. In deserts, in rainforests, in frozen tundras and city streets, life finds a way. Earth is not just alive, it is alive with aliveness. A symphony of beating hearts, rustling leaves, whispering waves, and the silent turning of stars overhead. And we, humans, are a part of it all. We are not separate from the earth. We are of it. Our bones are made from its minerals. Our blood contains its salts. Our breath is shared with the trees. When we cry, our tears are salty like the sea. When we sleep, the planet turns gently beneath us, rocking us in a rhythm older than memory. So much of Earth's movement is quiet and unnoticed. Tides rise and fall, pulled by the moon's soft gravity. Seeds grow in silence beneath the soil. Rivers carve paths through stone over thousands of years. Lightning crackles in clouds, charging the atmosphere with unseen energy. The planet is always alive, even when it sleeps. Sometimes we forget how rare Earth is. We rush through our days, forgetting that every sunrise is the result of a 93 million mile journey of light. That every breath of wind is part of an atmospheric ballet too complex for the mind to grasp. That every tree, every grain of sand, every drop of rain is part of something vast and sacred. And yet, Earth asks for nothing in return. It spins, it orbits, it gives, quietly, patiently, lovingly. Tonight, as you settle into sleep, think of Earth not just as your home, but as your companion. A silent partner in your every step. Feel the slow turning beneath you. The gravity that holds you close. The air that fills your lungs. The soft hum of life all around you. You're not just on the earth. You are of the earth. And she is singing you to sleep with every breath of wind, every rustle of leaves, every rhythm of waves in distant seas. Close your eyes and rest, knowing that your planet is cradling you, turning gently through space, wrapped in warmth, and bathed in the golden light of a star. There is something profoundly comforting about the moon. It has no light of its own, and yet it glows. It has no voice, and yet it speaks to us in ways we have never fully understood. It follows us silently across the night sky, rising in the east and setting in the west, just like the sun. And though it seems still and distant, the moon is deeply connected to Earth. Its rhythms, its waters, even its living creatures. The moon is Earth's only natural satellite, and yet the word satellite feels too cold, too mechanical to describe the relationship. The moon is more like a companion, a quiet presence that has been with our planet for over 4 billion years. Long before the first fish swam in Earth's oceans, long before trees, mountains, or mammals ever existed, the moon was there, watching, orbiting, pulling gently at the tides. It's easy to forget how large the moon actually is. If you were to drive around its circumference, it would take you more than 10,000 kilometers. Its surface is covered in ancient scars, impact craters from long-forgotten collisions, basins filled with solidified lava, highlands that have never been touched by Earth's atmosphere. And yet, when we look up at it from here, it feels small, even fragile. But that's only an illusion of distance. The moon is massive enough to affect our entire planet. One of the moon's most powerful gifts is the ocean tide. The moon's gravity gently tugs on Earth's water, creating the rise and fall of the seas. Twice each day, the waters move in and out, like a great breath being taken by the planet itself. Without the moon, Earth's tides would be weak and uneven. But because of that steady lunar pull, we have coastal ecosystems that thrive in the rhythm of wet and dry, sea and shore. We have the mixing of ocean currents, the shifting of sands, the patterns of migration and spawning that so many species depend on. Life itself is organised around the moon's pull. And it's not just the water that responds. Some scientists believe that even animal behaviour, and perhaps even human emotions, are subtly affected by the phases of the moon. It waxes and wanes with a graceful rhythm, growing from a slender crescent into a glowing orb, then slowly retreating back into shadow. It does this every 29.5 days, never failing. A natural clock in the sky, older than calendars and older than written language. Ancient cultures followed this rhythm. Farmers planted and harvested by it. Poets wrote under it. Children were born beneath it. The moon's orbit isn't a perfect circle. It's slightly elliptical, meaning that sometimes it's a bit closer to us, and sometimes a bit farther away. When it's at its closest point, what we call perigee, it can appear slightly larger and brighter in the sky. That's when we see what many call a supermoon, a term more poetic than scientific, but lovely nonetheless. At its farthest point, or apogee, the moon shrinks just a little, and its light softens. And yet it always returns. Always. One of the most beautiful things about the moon is how slowly it has locked itself into Earth's rhythm. Long ago it spun on its axis at a different rate, but over millions of years, Earth's gravity slowed the moon's rotation until it became tidally locked. That means we always see the same face of the moon, the same craters, the same man-in-the-moon shapes. The far side, often called the dark side, is not actually dark. It receives just as much sunlight as the near side, but it remains hidden from us, always turned away, like a secret the moon keeps to itself. And yet, it watches us. From the moment we are born to our final days, the moon is a silent witness. It hangs over celebrations, over heartbreak, over the quiet in-between moments when we pause and look up. Its phases mirror the stages of our lives, growing, peaking, fading, and renewing again. It has inspired stories in every culture. In Chinese legend, the moon is home to a rabbit who pounds the elixir of life. In Native American stories, it's a guiding grandmother spirit. In ancient Europe, it was Artemis or Diana, the huntress who watched the forests from above. And in modern times, it became a symbol of hope and wonder when in 1969 humans first set foot upon its surface. That dusty, glowing world that had only ever been gazed upon was suddenly within reach. We went there not to conquer, but to understand. And then we came home, changed. Despite being over 380,000 kilometers away, the moon feels close. It feels personal. It doesn't shine like the sun, blinding and bold. It glows softly, gently, humbly, perfect for nighttime thoughts and whispered dreams. It doesn't demand attention. It simply appears. In windows, in reflections, in the corner of your eye as you walk beneath the stars. And when the world feels too fast, too complicated, too loud, the moon offers a reminder that there is still something steady, something calm. So as you rest tonight, let the moon guide you into sleep. Imagine its pale light gently spilling through the atmosphere, touching oceans, forests, rooftops, and your own window pane. Imagine its silent pull on the tides, on time, and perhaps gently on your breath. The earth spins, the moon follows, and together they move in a celestial duet, always connected, always turning, always watching. You are part of that dance, and the moon is watching over you. Mars is a world that feels both close and impossibly distant. We call it our neighbouring planet, just one step outward from Earth in the grand spiral of the solar system. And yet, it remains shrouded in mystery, quiet, red, and cold. A place where no human has ever set foot, and yet a place we dream about constantly. Of all the planets beyond our own, Mars is the one we long for most, the one we imagine walking on, the one we study with robotic eyes and wheels, scanning the dusty plains for signs of ancient rivers, forgotten life, or some lost message written in the sand. To the naked eye, Mars is a reddish point of light in the night sky, sometimes brighter than the stars around it. That glow comes from iron oxide, rust, spread across its surface, giving it a soft, burnt orange hue that has earned it the nickname the Red Planet. But Mars is not just red. Up close, it is a landscape of subtle colour, golden dunes, pale grey ridges, black volcanic rocks, and faded weathered hills. A desert planet shaped by time and wind, by ancient water and silent collapse. Mars is smaller than Earth, only about half its size, and its gravity is weaker, just over 1/3 of what we feel here. That means you'd feel light there, as if you were always about to float. Walking would feel like bouncing. Everything would feel just a little bit dreamlike, as if the world itself were a memory. Its days are similar to ours, just over 24.5 hours. But its years are twice as long, and its seasons last far longer. Mars tilts on its axis, much like Earth, which means it experiences spring, summer, autumn, and winter. But everything happens more slowly. A Martian winter can last the equivalent of 6 Earth months. And in that time, the planet's polar ice caps grow larger, made not just of water ice, but of frozen carbon dioxide, dry ice, that glitters under the weak sunlight. The Martian atmosphere is thin, less than 1% of Earth's. It cannot hold in heat, or protect against radiation, or carry sound the way our air does. You could scream on Mars, and no one would hear you, not because they're too far away, but because the air is too thin for your voice to travel. And yet the winds still blow. Dust storms can rage for weeks, even months, stretching across the entire planet. These storms are not violent in the way we know storms on Earth, but they are vast, graceful in their slowness, spreading a fine red haze across the sky. Long ago, Mars was different. We know this now. Billions of years ago, it may have had rivers, lakes, and even oceans. The evidence is written into the land, valleys that resemble dried riverbeds, minerals that form in waters, patterns that suggest rainfall once carved the ground. We have even found signs of ancient deltas, places where water may have pooled in slow, serene stillness. But something changed. The atmosphere thinned. The magnetic field disappeared. The warmth faded. And slowly, silently, the planet dried out. The water vanished into the soil or escaped into space. And what was left was a fossil of a world, a memory preserved in stone. But Mars still whispers of possibility. We send robots to wander its surface, tiny explorers rolling across barren plains, sending back photos of rocks and hills under a pale orange sky. We give them names like Curiosity and Perseverance, because that's what Mars demands. Patience, hope, a willingness to listen. When the sun sets on Mars, the sky turns a soft blue near the horizon, a reversal of Earth, where the day ends in reds and oranges. On Mars, the dust in the atmosphere scatters sunlight differently, creating sunsets that are quiet and unexpected. Imagine standing there, wrapped in a warm suit, looking out over a frozen canyon as the day ends and the stars begin to emerge. Everything silent, everything still. Just you, the cold wind, and the shadow of the distant sun. Mars has two tiny moons, Phobos and Deimos, Fear and Panic, named after the companions of the god of war, for whom Mars is named. They are not like our moon. They are small, misshapen, like captured asteroids, and they circle the planet quickly and unevenly. Phobos, the larger one, rises in the west and sets in the east, crossing the sky in just a few hours. A frantic moon for a quiet planet. And yet, for all its desolation, Mars feels familiar. Its landscapes echo Earth in strange ways, volcanoes that dwarf anything here, like Olympus Mons, the tallest mountain in the solar system. Canyons that stretch thousands of kilometers, like Valles Marineris, wide enough to swallow the entire United States. Craters filled with frost, dunes shaped by the wind, hills that cast long shadows in the twilight. It is a world that feels unfinished, waiting, as though it once knew life and might know it again. Mars speaks to something deep in the human heart, a longing to reach farther, to go beyond, to step onto new ground and look up at a new sky. It is both a mystery and a mirror, showing us what our planet could become, or what it once was. A reminder that even in the silence of space, there are places still holding secrets, still keeping the possibility of life. Tonight, as you breathe slowly and drift into sleep, picture Mars gently spinning in its slow, silent orbit. Red sands shifting under the wind. A small sun hanging low in the sky. Two tiny moons tracing lopsided paths overhead. And a stillness so deep that it feels sacred. Mars is not just a planet. It is a dream wrapped in dust. A poem written in stone. And one day, perhaps, it will hear the sound of human footsteps across its surface. But for now, it waits, and whispers, and turns, between the rocky inner planets and the gas giants of the outer solar system lies a quiet, starlit wilderness. A vast, scattered region of space known as the asteroid belt. To the casual observer, it might sound like a dangerous, chaotic place, crowded with tumbling rocks crashing into one another. But in reality, it is a realm of immense stillness and ancient mystery. A place where time moves slowly and where the remnants of creation float silently through the darkness, untouched for billions of years. The asteroid belt stretches between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, occupying a broad, donut-shaped ring around the Sun. It is home to countless objects, millions, perhaps billions, of icy rocky fragments that range in size from tiny pebbles to dwarf planets hundreds of kilometers wide. The largest of these is Ceres, a world so big that it holds enough mass to be shaped into a sphere by its own gravity. Ceres is more than just a rock. It has been classified as a dwarf planet, and some believe it may even contain a subsurface ocean hidden beneath its crust, locked away in frozen silence. But most of the bodies in the asteroid belt are far smaller, lumpy, irregular, and ancient. They are leftovers from the birth of the solar system, fragments that never came together to form a planet. Billions of years ago, these bits of rock and metal floated in the same swirling cloud of dust and gas that gave rise to the Earth, Mars, and all the other planets. But here, in this middle zone of space, the gravitational influence of Jupiter was too strong. Its immense pull kept the material from coalescing, stirring, and scattering it until the building blocks of a planet became instead a collection of drifting relics. Despite their numbers, these objects are spread across such a vast distance that they are rarely close to one another. In the movies, asteroid fields are often shown as crowded, dangerous gauntlets. In truth, if you were standing on one asteroid, the next nearest one would likely be hundreds of kilometers away, barely visible, if at all. The asteroid belt is not a storm, it is a still sea, and every stone within it carries the marks of deep time. Some asteroids are rich in metals like iron and nickel. Others are made mostly of carbon-rich materials or silicates. There are even some that contain water ice, preserved in the cold, dry vacuum. These differences hint at the many layers of the early solar system, like pages in a forgotten book. Scientists study them like fossils, hoping to understand the story of our own beginnings. Many asteroids have been given names: Vesta, Pallas, Hygeia, each one unique, with its own orbit, rotation, and character. Some spin slowly, turning lazily over days. Others rotate rapidly, flipping end over end every few hours. Their surfaces are rough, pitted, and scarred, evidence of the collisions they've endured over eons. These impacts can send smaller fragments spinning off into space, creating families of asteroids that share similar orbits, a kind of cosmic genealogy written in stone. There are also Trojan asteroids, which don't orbit within the main belt, but instead travel in front of and behind Jupiter, locked into stable points called Lagrange points. Like loyal companions, they drift alongside the giant planet, moving through space in perfect rhythm, never straying too far or coming too close. Their presence adds yet another layer of quiet choreography to this vast, hidden region. And then of course there are the visitors, the asteroids that stray from the belt and come close to Earth. These near-Earth objects are closely watched, not just because of their potential to collide with our planet, but because they too offer insight into the origins of our world. Some missions have even visited them. Tiny robotic explorers have landed on asteroids, scooped up dust, and returned it to Earth, bringing back tiny pieces of the ancient solar system, unchanged since before the first plants grew or the first animals walked. Yet for all the science, there is poetry here too. The asteroid belt is a place of solitude, a quiet graveyard of what might have been, a garden of stones drifting in endless orbit, each one a monument to time. And in the darkness between them, silence reigns, interrupted only by the faint whisper of solar wind and the distant hum of sunlight. If you could stand on one of these asteroids, you would see a sky unlike any other. The sun would be smaller, more distant, casting a pale light across the rocky surface. The stars would be sharp and unblinking. There would be no wind, no sound, only the slow turning of the sky overhead. Occasionally you might glimpse another rock in the distance, drifting ever so slightly, as if caught in a dream. And you would feel the age of it all. Not just years or centuries, but epochs, time measured in orbits, in the slow decay of impact craters, in the unchanging paths of countless stones. Tonight, as you close your eyes and begin to drift, let your mind travel there, to the belt. Imagine floating gently among the asteroids, weightless and unhurried, watching the ancient fragments pass by like drifting leaves on a timeless breeze. No need to rush, no need to speak. Just listen to the silence and feel the calm that comes from a place that has never known haste or worry. Out there, in that quiet stretch of space, the past remains, and in its stillness there is peace. Jupiter is the giant of our solar system, the king of planets, a colossal sphere of gas and storm that dwarfs everything else in its orbit. If Earth were a marble, Jupiter would be a beach ball. Over 11 times wider than our planet, it's so massive that all the other planets combined still wouldn't equal its weight. And yet, for all its size and power, Jupiter does not roar or rage in the way we might expect. It spins in silence, a giant wrapped in cloud, whispering its ancient secrets through wind and gravity, through shadow and light. From a distance, Jupiter is breathtaking. Bands of beige, white and rust wrap around its surface, moving in graceful lines that stretch across its massive girth. These bands are the edges of powerful jet streams, streams that move in opposite directions and never stop, each one circling the planet with speed and purpose. The result is a mesmerizing pattern, like the strokes of a cosmic paintbrush that never runs dry. And then there is the Great Red Spot, a storm that has raged for centuries, perhaps for over 350 years. A swirling oval larger than Earth itself, spinning endlessly in Jupiter's southern hemisphere. We don't fully understand why the storm is red, or why it has lasted so long, or even how deep it reaches. But there it is, every time we look. A reminder that even in the quietest places, some forces are too vast to comprehend. Jupiter has no solid surface. It is a gas giant made mostly of hydrogen and helium. As you move downward into the planet's atmosphere, the pressure builds and builds until the gas turns into a strange, thick fluid, liquid metallic hydrogen, something we can't create on Earth. Deeper still, there may be a rocky core, but no one knows for certain. What we do know is that Jupiter radiates more heat than it receives from the Sun. Like a tiny star that never ignited, it glows softly from within, warmed by the slow contraction of its massive body. But perhaps what makes Jupiter most magnificent is not just its size or its storms or its strange chemistry, it is the family of moons that dances around it. Jupiter has at least 95 known moons, and each one is a world in its own right. 4 of them, Io, Europa, Ganymede and Callisto, are called the Galilean moons, named after Galileo Galilei, who first observed them through a small telescope in 1610. At the time, it was a radical discovery, tiny planets orbiting another world, proof that Earth was not the centre of all motion. Io is the most volcanically active body in the solar system, its surface constantly reshaped by eruptions of molten rock. Ganymede is the largest moon, even bigger than Mercury, with its own magnetic field. Callisto is ancient and battered, its crust covered in craters like a frozen memory of the early solar system. And then there is Europa, smooth, bright and quiet. Beneath its icy shell, scientists believe there may be an ocean, kept warm by tidal forces, deep and dark, and possibly full of life. These moons do not merely orbit Jupiter. They are bound to it by invisible threads of gravity, dancing in resonance, locked in a rhythm that keeps them from colliding, from drifting away. They pull on one another, stretch and bend under Jupiter's immense influence, and in doing so, create heat, motion, possibility. It is a silent ballet, slow and eternal. And Jupiter's reach goes even farther. Its gravity is so strong that it acts as a kind of guardian for the inner solar system, deflecting comets and asteroids that might otherwise head toward Earth. Some call it a cosmic shield, others a gravitational lighthouse. Without Jupiter, life on Earth might never have had a chance to flourish, and yet it asks for nothing in return. It just spins and orbits, a quiet protector at the edge of our awareness. If you could stand above Jupiter, floating far enough away to take in the whole planet, you would see a sphere in constant motion. Clouds shifting and merging, storms swirling and fading, the poles glowing with auroras created by a powerful magnetic field. You wouldn't hear a sound. No thunderclaps, no explosions. Just the endless turning of wind and vapour, like the breathing of a sleeping giant. And if you turned your gaze outwards, you would see the tiny sparks of its moons, each one tracing its own path, each one glowing with reflected sunlight, each one bound forever to this massive, mysterious world. Jupiter reminds us that greatness does not have to shout, that strength can be quiet, that movement, even the most powerful movement, can happen in silence. It shows us that complexity and beauty can exist on a scale beyond imagination, and yet still feel strangely intimate, as if it's watching over us in its own quiet way. As you close your eyes tonight and drift into sleep, picture Jupiter slowly spinning in the dark. Feel its quiet presence on the edge of your mind, the swirling clouds, the hidden storms, the glowing moons like lanterns in orbit. It is not here to dazzle you, it is here to keep watch, to hold space, to remind you that even the largest things in the universe move with grace. Jupiter turns, the moons dance, and somewhere far away, Earth spins on, small and blue beneath the stars, warmed and protected by a giant that hums softly in the shadows of space. Far beyond the orbit of Mars, past the quiet wilderness of the asteroid belt and the thunderous majesty of Jupiter, spins a planet that seems too beautiful to be real. Saturn, the golden giant, the ringed wonder of our solar system. It is the most elegant of all the planets, the one that captures the imagination like a dream half remembered, suspended in the cold reaches of space. To look upon Saturn is to witness a kind of cosmic perfection. Even through a small telescope, it appears like a jewel in the sky, an orb of soft amber light encircled by thin, gleaming rings. Those rings are what make Saturn so immediately recognizable, so iconic. They look delicate, almost fragile, as if a breath might scatter them. But they are vast and ancient, stretching out tens of thousands of kilometers in every direction, surrounding the planet in a halo of frozen silence. The rings are made mostly of ice, with some dust and rock mixed in, countless particles ranging in size from tiny grains to chunks the size of houses, all orbiting in perfect, graceful harmony. From a distance, they seem smooth and solid, but they are anything but. They are a celestial illusion, a flat disk made of motion and space, held together by gravity and time. And while Saturn is not the only planet with rings, Jupiter, Uranus and Neptune have faint ones too. None are as stunning, as grand, as hauntingly beautiful. Saturn itself is a gas giant, composed mostly of hydrogen and helium. Like Jupiter, it has no solid surface, only layers upon layers of cloud and vapour, swirling in muted bands of cream, butterscotch and gold. Its storms are not as colourful as Jupiter's, but they are just as fierce. At the planet's north pole lies a strange and mysterious feature, a hexagonal storm, 6-sided and vast enough to fit 4 Earths across. This perfectly shaped jet stream rotates endlessly, its symmetry still unexplained, a natural phenomenon unlike anything else in the known universe. Beneath Saturn's cloud tops, the pressure grows immense. Gases compress into liquids, and deeper still, into exotic forms like metallic hydrogen, rare and otherworldly. It's possible that Saturn, like Jupiter, has a small rocky core, but we may never know for sure. What we do know is that Saturn is light, so light in fact that if there were a bathtub big enough, it would float in water. Its low density and enormous size give it a quiet grandeur, a kind of dreamy slowness that suits its place in the solar system. Saturn takes its time. One day there lasts just over 10 hours, but a full orbit around the Sun, one Saturnian year, takes nearly 30 Earth years. That means the last time Saturn was in the same position it is now, many of us were children, or perhaps not even born. To Saturn, our lives are flickers of light. To us, Saturn is a symbol of patience and stillness, a giant that moves at the pace of centuries. And then there are its moons, over 150 known and suspected, with 62 confirmed and named. Each one is a world of its own, unique and strange and full of wonder. There is Enceladus, a small, icy moon that sprays water vapour and ice crystals into space from giant cracks near its south pole. Beneath its frozen shell may lie a global ocean, warmed by tidal forces, and possibly capable of supporting life. These plumes feed Saturn's E-ring, creating a bridge between the Moon and the planet, a river of ice drifting through space. Then there is Titan, Saturn's largest moon and one of the most intriguing bodies in the solar system. It is larger than the planet Mercury, with a thick, orange-hued atmosphere made mostly of nitrogen. Titan has lakes and rivers, not of water, but of liquid methane and ethane. It rains there, winds blow, dunes rise and fall. In many ways, it is like a colder, darker version of Earth. Beneath its frozen surface, scientists believe an ocean of salty water may lie hidden, waiting. Titan is one of the only places in the universe, other than Earth, where liquid flows across the surface. A mirror held up to our own planet, seen through the glass of distance and cold. Other moons, like Mimer's, with its enormous impact crater that makes it look like the Death Star, or Iapetus, half dark as coal and half bright as snow, add their own quiet voices to Saturn's story. Together they form a community of satellites orbiting in complex, graceful patterns, bound to Saturn's gravity, spinning, turning, always moving. To imagine standing near Saturn, perhaps on one of its moons, is to imagine a view beyond dreams. The sky would be dominated by the giant planet, striped and shining, the rings arching across the heavens like frozen rainbows. Light would be dimmer than on Earth, the sun smaller, but the majesty of the view would fill your mind with awe. There would be no sound, only the silence of space and the gentle hum of thought. Saturn, in mythology, was the god of time, Cronus, the slow one, the wise one, the father of gods. And in many ways, the planet Saturn lives up to that name. It reminds us that time is not always fast, that greatness does not always rush, that the most beautiful things in the universe may take eons to form, and eons more to understand. Its rings will not last forever. They are slowly fading, particle by particle, falling into the planet like silent snow. But for now, they remain, spinning endlessly around a golden world, glowing in the quiet dark. As you drift into sleep tonight, imagine Saturn floating in the blackness, peaceful, ancient and slow. Let the image of its shimmering rings wrap around your thoughts, like a lullaby made of ice and light. Let its calm remind you that there is beauty in slowness, in stillness, in simply being. The universe does not hurry, neither should you. Saturn turns, the rings whisper, and time, like the planet itself, continues its slow, graceful spin. Beyond Saturn's golden glow lies a planet so quiet, so distant, and so strange that it often feels more like a whispered thought than a fully formed world. Uranus is the 7th planet from the Sun, a pale, cold, turquoise sphere adrift in the darkness of deep space. It is often forgotten in the great planetary dance, overshadowed by the drama of Jupiter's storms or the elegance of Saturn's rings. But Uranus is a world unlike any other, a planet that turns sideways, a planet wrapped in mystery, a planet that teaches us, quietly, that even in the farthest corners of the solar system, beauty still abounds. Uranus is an ice giant, made not just of gas like Jupiter and Saturn, but of water, ammonia, and methane ice, swirling in the deep, frigid layers of its atmosphere. It is enormous, 4 times wider than Earth, yet it hides itself behind a veil of stillness. It has no dramatic storms visible from afar, no raging red spots or towering bands of clouds. Instead, it presents itself like a quiet sea under moonlight, calm, even serene. But beneath that still surface lies a world of complexity. One of the strangest things about Uranus is its tilt. While Earth tilts at a modest 23.5 degrees, Uranus leans over almost completely on its side, by 98 degrees. That means its poles, not its equator, point toward the Sun. For nearly half its 84-year orbit, one pole bathes in continuous sunlight, while the other lies in darkness, and then they trade places. This creates the most extreme seasons in the solar system, though in the dim, frozen world of Uranus, the change is quiet and gradual, more like a soft shift in tone than a dramatic transformation. Why does Uranus spin this way? No one knows for sure. Some scientists believe it may have been knocked sideways long ago by a massive collision, an ancient impact with a wandering protoplanet that forever changed its orientation. Others suggest it might have been shaped by the gravitational influences of nearby giants during the solar system's chaotic youth. But whatever the cause, the result is profound. Uranus spins like a rolling ball, not a top. Its moons and rings, too, orbit along this unusual axis, creating a planetary system turned sideways in the great ballet of the cosmos. The colour of Uranus comes from methane in its upper atmosphere, which absorbs red light and reflects blue and green. The result is a soft, ethereal hue, like a piece of sea glass resting in the cold of space. Through a telescope, it appears as a smooth, turquoise disk, distant and quiet. But up close, we have begun to see hints of more. A few faint cloud bands, occasional storms in the deeper layers, and even bright spots that hint at powerful activity hidden beneath the surface calm. Uranus also has rings, 13 that we know of, thin, dark and faint, made of dust and small particles. Unlike the broad and brilliant rings of Saturn, Uranus's rings are subtle, like fine ink strokes drawn across the sky. They were only discovered in 1977 when astronomers watched a star flicker as the planet passed in front of it, the starlight momentarily blocked by something unexpected. Since then, we've come to know that Uranus's rings, though dim, are real, ancient, and still spinning. Then there are the moons, at least 27 of them, each one bearing a name from the world of Shakespeare or Alexander Pope. There is Miranda, a moon so fractured and bizarre that it looks like it was shattered and pieced back together. There is Ariel, bright and young, scarred by valleys and faults. There is Umbriel, dark and mysterious, and Titania, the largest, with cliffs and canyons carved over eons. Each moon tells a story of ice and rock, of gravity and time, and all of them orbit Uranus's tilted world like dancers performing in an unfamiliar rhythm. Uranus is so far away that sunlight takes nearly 3 hours to reach it. It receives only a tiny fraction of the sun's warmth, And yet, curiously, it is colder than Neptune, the planet even farther out. This suggests something unusual is happening deep inside, perhaps a lack of internal heat, or perhaps something we have yet to understand. It is a planet that keeps its secrets well. We've only visited Uranus once, and even then, only briefly. In 1986, NASA's Voyager 2 spacecraft flew by, capturing the first close images of the planet and its moons. It revealed a strange and quiet place, unlike anything we had imagined. And then it continued on its journey, leaving Uranus behind like a dream barely touched. Since then, no spacecraft has returned. We know only what our telescopes can show us, tiny glimpses, whispers of colour and movement in the great black sea of space. And perhaps that is what makes Uranus so special. It is not dramatic. It does not cry out for attention. It simply is strange, sideways, slow-moving, and beautiful in a way that asks you to lean in and listen more closely. It teaches us that even the quietest voices in the cosmos have stories worth hearing. As you rest tonight and your breathing slows, imagine Uranus drifting through the darkness, tilted, turquoise, and calm. Picture its rings spinning in silence, its moons gliding across the sky like forgotten poems. There is no sound here, only motion. There is no rush, only presence. A planet turning gently on its side, watching the universe with a sideways gaze, as if dreaming its own slow, deep dream. Let that dream carry you. Let the stillness of Uranus remind you that peace can be found in the unfamiliar. That beauty doesn't always announce itself. That the most mysterious places often hold the greatest wonder. And far beyond the sun's golden reach, Uranus continues its quiet journey. Not to be seen, but to be felt. In the farthest reaches of the solar system, where the sun is just a pale star in an endless night, there spins a planet of deep blue mystery. Neptune, the eighth and final official planet from the sun, is a world of wind, ice, and secrets. It is the most distant of the known planets, a sentinel on the edge of our celestial family, and a place so remote that light itself takes over 4 hours to reach it. Yet Neptune is anything but still. Though it lies far beyond the warmth of the inner solar system, it is a planet of movement and change, a place of howling winds and sweeping storms. It reminds us that even in the quietest corners of space, energy stirs and swirls in beautiful, unexpected ways. Neptune is similar in composition to Uranus, another ice giant made mostly of hydrogen, helium, and water, ammonia, and methane ices. But where Uranus is soft and pale, Neptune is vibrant and rich in colour. Its blue hue is deeper and more striking than that of any other planet. The reason for its intense colour is still not fully understood. While methane in its atmosphere plays a role in absorbing red light and reflecting blue, something else, perhaps an unknown compound, gives Neptune that signature, royal azure glow. It is the colour of distant oceans, of midnight skies, of dreams just out of reach. And unlike Uranus, which seems to wear a calm, placid mask, Neptune is anything but calm. It holds the record for the fastest winds in the solar system. Winds that whip through its upper atmosphere at over 1,200 miles per hour, faster than the speed of sound on Earth. These winds create massive storms, white and dark spots that appear and vanish across its surface, shaped by currents we still don't fully understand. One such storm, the Great Dark Spot, was captured by Voyager 2 in 1989, a swirling system roughly the size of Earth itself. When we looked again years later, it had disappeared, replaced by new features and new mysteries. Neptune's atmosphere is layered and dynamic. It contains cloud bands and storms made not of water vapour, but of methane ice and possibly other exotic materials. The clouds rise and fall in the planet's frigid skies, drifting across the surface in patterns that shift slowly but powerfully. From afar, Neptune seems distant and frozen, but inside, it is alive with motion. The planet's interior is a blend of rock, water, and ammonia under extreme pressure, topped by a thick atmosphere. Deeper down, heat seeps outward from the core, creating internal energy that drives the turbulent weather we see. In fact, Neptune radiates more heat than it receives from the Sun. Despite its distance, it glows from within, an ember burning softly in the vast cold of interplanetary space. Neptune is encircled by a faint system of rings, dark, narrow, and difficult to see from Earth. These rings are made of dust and ice, likely the remains of shattered moons or ancient collisions. Unlike Saturn's brilliant, wide rings, Neptune's are subtle. Some of them even contain clumps and arcs, as if held in place by unseen hands. These arcs defy easy explanation, defying our understanding of how such structures should behave. They remind us that even here, where light barely touches, there are things we have yet to grasp. And then there are the moons, at least 14 of them, each dancing around Neptune in its own quiet way. The largest, Triton, is a world of wonders all its own. Triton is unique among large moons in the solar system because it orbits Neptune backward, in the opposite direction of the planet's rotation. This retrograde motion suggests that Triton was not born alongside Neptune, but was captured long ago. A wandering object, perhaps a dwarf planet like Pluto, that fell under Neptune's spell. Triton is cold and distant, but also active. Voyager 2 revealed geysers erupting from its surface, spewing nitrogen gas high into the thin atmosphere. Its surface is marked by icy plains and ridges, signs of geological activity. Beneath its frozen crust, there may be an ocean of liquid water, kept warm by tidal forces, a hidden sea in the outer darkness. One day, far in the future, Triton's strange orbit will cause it to spiral closer and closer to Neptune. Eventually, it may be torn apart by gravity, its pieces forming a brilliant new ring system. But for now, it remains whole, a ghost moon with a captured heart circling the planet in silence. Standing above Neptune, if such a thing were possible, would be an experience beyond imagination. The sun would appear as a distant point of light, casting only the faintest glow across the landscape. The wind would scream silently through the methane clouds. Blue shadows would stretch across the planet's surface, and beyond, the stars would burn cold and steady, untouched by the sun's warmth. Neptune represents the edge of what we once considered the planetary frontier. Beyond it lie dwarf planets and comets, the icy bodies of the Kuiper Belt, and the mysterious reaches of interstellar space. But Neptune holds its place at the border with quiet power. It reminds us that the universe does not end at the edge of what we can see, that there is always more beyond the horizon. Always another wind, another storm, another moon waiting in the dark. Tonight, as you close your eyes and float into sleep, imagine Neptune spinning in the void, blue, cold, and full of motion. Let its winds brush gently through your thoughts. Let its colours wrap around your dreams like waves of soft velvet. Far from the warmth of the sun, Neptune hums with hidden life. And in that distant song, there is peace. The planet turns slowly, the moons follow, and beyond them all, space stretches out forever. Silent, mysterious, and waiting. At the very edge of our solar system, where sunlight grows faint and the stars begin to take centre stage in the cosmic sky, there lies a realm of ice, shadow, and memory. Here, in the cold, forgotten outskirts, lives Pluto, a world once considered the 9th planet, now reclassified as a dwarf planet. But Pluto has never been defined by names or categories. It remains, as ever, one of the most poetic and mysterious bodies in our solar family. Pluto is tiny, smaller than our moon, and yet its story looms large in the imagination. It resides in the Kuiper Belt, a vast region beyond Neptune filled with icy bodies, comets, and the building blocks of planetary creation. Unlike the giant planets that dominate the solar system, Pluto is delicate, lonely, and strange. It orbits the Sun in a long, tilted and eccentric path, sometimes drawing closer than Neptune, sometimes drifting farther into the dark. A single year on Pluto takes 248 Earth years. Entire human civilizations can rise and fall before Pluto completes just one lap around the Sun. Its surface is a patchwork of frozen plains, towering mountains of ice, and deep valleys carved by unknown forces. Pluto's heart-shaped region, informally named Tombor Regio, is composed largely of nitrogen ice and stretches like a quiet signature across the planet's surface. This heart is not just a symbol, it is an active, dynamic area, reshaped by glacial flows and subtle atmospheric shifts. It pulses with the memory of warmth, the suggestion of motion, even in such distant cold. And Pluto is not alone. It has 5 known moons, the largest of which is Charon, a companion so significant that it and Pluto actually orbit a point in space between them, like 2 dancers twirling in sync. Charon is locked in tidal embrace with Pluto, always showing the same face. Its surface is dark and scarred, marked by canyons deeper than Earth's Grand Canyon, and its relationship with Pluto is so close that some astronomers consider them a binary system, 2 worlds orbiting together in the frozen silence. When NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flew past Pluto in 2015, it gave us our first true glimpse of this mysterious world. What we saw was astonishing. A surface both ancient and young, craters and mountains, ice fields and haze. Pluto, we realised, is not a dead rock. It is alive in its own quiet way, changing slowly, subtly, beautifully, as though time itself moves differently in its presence. And then there's the Kuiper Belt beyond Pluto, a vast, shimmering expanse filled with icy relics of the early solar system. These objects are the untouched remnants of the solar nursery, orbiting slowly in the cold, waiting. They are quiet witnesses to time itself. Some are smaller than Pluto, others may rival it. All are drifting, forgotten by most, but vital to the story of where we come from. This distant realm, with Pluto at its threshold, reminds us that the edge is never truly the end. That even in the dimmest reaches of space, there are secrets to uncover, stories to tell, and beauty waiting to be seen. And so, Pluto turns, slowly, silently, beneath the faint light of a distant sun, a tiny heart beating in the frozen dark. A world that asks us to wonder, not just about what is, but about what could be. All across the solar system, the planets move. Not randomly, not chaotically, but with purpose, in graceful loops called orbits. Each planet follows its own path around the Sun, held in place by gravity, and each one travels at a speed and distance determined by an invisible, ancient balance of forces. This harmony is the music of the spheres, not a song of sound, but of motion, rhythm, and quiet precision. The orbits of the planets are elliptical, slightly stretched circles that repeat again and again. Mercury races quickly around the Sun, while Neptune drifts slowly on the outer edge. Yet they are all part of the same dance, drawn by the Sun's immense gravity, and moving in patterns that are as predictable as they are poetic. But gravity is not the only force at play. The planets tug on one another ever so slightly, shifting each other's paths over long periods of time. Jupiter's mass, in particular, influences the orbits of many bodies throughout the solar system, shaping the paths of asteroids, comets, and even distant moons. These gravitational nudges create a kind of conversation, a dialogue among planets that has been going on for billions of years. This harmony is fragile. Small changes can lead to new patterns. Moons fall into resonance with their planets, orbiting in timed rhythms that create tides and heat. Some orbits are tilted, others are eccentric, but all are governed by the same elegant laws. The universe is not a still painting. It is a dance, a ballet of motion in deep space. Even chaos has a rhythm. The asteroid belt, with its scattered rocks and hidden paths, follows the same gravitational rules. Comets plunge toward the Sun and swing back out again, tracing long, glowing arcs that can take thousands of years to complete. And among it all, the planets glide along their invisible rails, unchanged in their devotion to the Sun. This harmony brings peace. It reminds us that, while life may feel uncertain and rushed, the universe itself moves with incredible patience. The planets do not hurry. They do not resist. They follow their paths with grace, day after day, century after century. Time for them is not a pressure. It is simply space unfolding. When we look up at the sky and trace the planets with our eyes, we are watching this ancient dance. We are seeing history in motion, and though we may not feel it, we are part of that rhythm too. Earth is not still. We are on a moving world, spinning through space, part of a system that is beautiful, not because it is fast, but because it is in balance. And in that balance there is peace. To look up at the sky is to see beyond ourselves. To look up is to remember. To feel small, yes, but also connected to something unimaginably vast. There's a kind of peace that comes when we remember that the planets are always moving. That no matter what happens on Earth, no matter the chaos, the uncertainty, the noise, there is a larger order beyond us. A grand design that unfolds in silence. The planets don't worry. They don't plan or fear. They just are, moving in their paths, turning slowly, dancing through the dark. And perhaps that's why stargazing brings such quiet comfort. When we follow the path of Venus across the evening sky, or watch Jupiter rise in the east, or catch a glimpse of Mars glowing red in the distance, we are reminded that we are not lost. We are part of something ancient and whole. We are not outside the dance. We are within it. The quiet dance of the planets is not just a story of science. It is a meditation, a reminder, a lullaby whispered in gravity and light. And you, dear dreamer, are part of it. As you rest now, as your breath slows and your body relaxes, imagine yourself floating among the stars. Let the music of motion carry you. Let the rhythm of orbit guide your thoughts. Feel Earth turning beneath you. Feel the sun's gentle pull. Feel the planet circling in harmony, not to be seen or heard, but to be felt. The quiet dance continues, and you too are dancing, always.